Maybe in this song, you shouldn't start by saying,
The success of Tekken 8 at the start was something that was echoed across the FGC. Everyone celebrated when we found out how quickly it sold 1 million copies, and then soon after 2 million copies. When Tekken 8 first released, it was #1 on the charts in many different regions of the world. In the UK specifically, it beat out everything from Call of Duty to Mario Kart to Super Mario to Mortal Kombat to Grand Theft Auto 5. A few of those games released at the exact same time as Tekken 8, and then others has existed for over a decade now. When we first caught wind of how successful Tekken 8 was, it was from this person here, Benji Sells. It says Tekken 8 has sold 2 million copies since launch. Bandai Namco says sales are better than expected. Tekken 8 is selling faster than Tekken 7. Tekken 7 took around 2 months to sell 2 million, while Tekken 8 did it in under 3 weeks. At the time, this was crazy. Street Fighter 6 sold 1 million copies in 3 days, and it sold 3 million copies a couple months later in December. For Mortal Kombat 1, they sold 3 million copies in 2 months. So at the time, Tekken 8 was growing way faster than both. We were talking about yesterday how Harada was giving us a little bit more insight and saying how they made the tough decision to focus on this generation consoles, and that really cut them off to a large portion of the player base. But even then, when you fast forward a couple of months, you go to 3/26/2024, Tekken 8 was still in the top 5, really the top 3 best-selling games so far of the year. Helldivers at 1, Call of Duty at 2, Tekken 8 at 3. The competition was oh so fierce, and yet Tekken 8, a fighting game, a competitive game, was doing better than ever. Now, since then, a lot has happened. Bandai Namco has experienced a lot of hardships in terms of balancing the game. There are some difficulties there. Players are still waiting for the big balance patch that's going to radically change the game. But everything we got before then was just minor tweaks here and there. And in some instances, those minor tweaks broke the game. That caused a lot of issue and concern amongst players. But then also what was even a bigger headache was when they banned mods. Now, I won't go into that full thing again, but I think it was very important to when the community started to turn and they started to get a lot of negative publicity. If you notice, they haven't really banned the mod since then. Everyone got so furious, so angry, and they backed down. Will they step back up in a month or two? I don't know. But as it currently stands, all of this stuff, you can also talk about the delaying of tournaments. They said that tournaments act as marketing for the games, and tournaments was delayed for so long, and they're just now kicking off. Evo Japan was amazing. It was successful. But as a result of all of those things, this news article here from Event Hubs, they say Tekken 8 falls down US sales rankings, but managed to hold on in the new NPD charts as Mortal Kombat 1 stays for 7 straight months. So this is the thing, right? We talk about how Tekken 8 is selling faster than those games, but Mortal Kombat 1 is maintaining. We always talk about how that game has a super steep fall off and it ceases to exist, but it stays currently on the top charts for 7 straight months. Will Tekken 8 do so? I mean, it's falling and it's falling. I don't want to say fast, but it is falling. Now, Mortal Kombat's lead guy, Ed Boon, he tweeted out this news article. Some Tekken 8 players took offense to it because they thought he was like trashing on Tekken 8 somehow. I don't know. I don't really understand. I think more so this tweet here, he is just celebrating fighting games in general. You have 2 of the major 3 fighting games maintaining a spot on this top list. Now, what is this list that I'm talking about? We have a list here. It was tweeted out by this person, Matt. It says March 2024 top 20 best-selling premium games in the US. In parentheses, dollar sales, physical and digital, from digital data sharing publishers, excludes add-on content, so no DLC. Now, when you take a look at this list, ranked #1 is a new game, Dragon Dogmas 2. Helldivers has fallen a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about that because when we talk about the controversy that Tekken got in, and we try to associate that with the way that it's not really performing the same, but right now Helldivers is in a kind of a sticky situation as well. But if you pay attention, okay, let's just talk about it now. Helldivers, they made this very weird situation where they will now force PC players to tie their PlayStation accounts together. The thing about that is there's currently 69 countries that has access to PlayStation networks, which means if you're in an unsupported country, you will be locked out of the game. So they're trying to force people to connect their accounts, but some people are in countries where they can't even have access to Sony. Now, a lot of people are boycotting the game. The Steam reviews took a massive hit, over 100,000 negative reviews. To put that in perspective, you have this chart here that's circulating in the player base. Players are really angry because they feel betrayed and they feel lied to. So with all of this controversy and all of this negativity going on, if you look at the Steam charts, the game is still pretty much unaffected on that front. Helldivers 2 is still on Steam's top 10 most played games. Doesn't look like players refunding / deleting the game is having much effect on the numbers. Now, if we compare this to Tekken 8 and where it stands, Tekken 8 at one point was first, then it dropped to third, and now it currently stands at 15. Mortal Kombat 1 is at 20. It's all of the controversy that's going on. 333 Eddie bots, Lydia being the snooze fest, balancing, yada yada. Is that why the game is slowing down, or is this just the natural progression of things? We really don't have enough information to concretely say that one thing is affecting another, but what I will simply state is kind of what the news article is stating as well, is that regardless, this is just powerful that fighting games are able to do this. I really hope that Tekken 8 can get back on track. This patch, this update kind of addressing some things that players are concerned about. Not everything. There's another update that's coming in June that's going to do that. But the developers are seeming like they're aware of what's happening. They're trying to emphasize free. They're trying to emphasize patching the game, fixing the game. They're stopping the situation with mods. Like, is this the point when Tekken 8 shifts and turns the corner and starts to come back around and build up that good favor within the community? I mean, if you think about it, right? There's a lot of players who are still sitting and waiting and expecting them to recover, and it's just really on the developers to do that. The sales of this game is powerful. The brand of Tekken 8 is powerful. The impact, like Harada said, if Bandai Namco really wanted to, they can push their games with just sheer marketing power to the roof. And they kind of did that with Tekken 8, and they will need to continue to do that with Tekken 8 with how they balance the game and patch the game and update the game in the next couple of months. Sales graphs like these are interesting because they show, one, the natural progression of a game, but then also you can see like when a game takes a little tumble, or when it makes a mistake, or when it does something really well. You can calculate those things and you can see how it's all being impacted. Tekken 8 is currently sitting at 15th, like 3-4 months after release. That's a pretty powerful thing, even with all of the controversy they got into.